I'm Medea Quintanilla coming at you live from Houston, Atlanta, Vegas.
And I'm Michaela Daniels coming to you with what's happening in the 70s. You're in store for some good stories tonight.
Now coming at you live is Brooke Boucher with some tips on environmentalism and fashion.
Thanks, Medea. Hey guys, it's Brooke, and I'm here with the 1970s fashion. What are some cool trends this year? Jumpsuits, hot shorts. What are hot shorts? They're high-waisted shorts. Also, we have turtlenecks, which can be worn by men and women to keep you warm in the winter. Also, platform shoes down here can be worn at all times to the disco, to the diner, to give you a little extra height. So today, I have an outfit for you guys. First thing I have is my maxi skirt. It's nice and long because we want to stay conservative. We got a slit, getting a little feisty, because in the 1970s we liked to show a lot of skin. I have a headband today, and it is the colors that we like to wear. We like the warm colors because we're warm people. Okay, so today I have some nice flare pants. Now our flare pants come in many, many colors, from green to orange and even black like so. These can be worn with anything, anywhere. And I have a leather vest with some fringe on it. Now this can be worn wherever you feel. Some days, if it's a little bit chilly out, you can put this on. Thanks for stopping by on my fashion segment of the 1970s.
Thanks for those groovy tips on fashion, Brooke. Now for your second segment on environmentalism.
Hey guys, and welcome to Environmental Facts with Brooke. So, this year, President Nixon has signed the new Clean Air Act because we love clean air. Have you heard about 3 Mile Island? You know, it wasn't great, and we weren't happy about it. It's not groovy. Not groovy at all. Also, we have a struggle with balancing the environment and jobs and progress, so we really need to work on that as a whole, as the United States of America. Has anyone heard of Rachel Carson? No? Well, let me tell you a little bit about her. She was a marine biologist who published the Silent Spring book, which warned against pesticides, and chemicals to kill rodents and insects. And you know, that brought a new awakening to the United States, and we have changed things, or we're working on changing things, and that is what we need to do. Do you guys want to help the environment? Plant some trees. Plant some flowers. Can you dig?
Thank you, Brooke, and thank you for sending over the headband. I can dig it.
You sure can, Medea. Now going to Rebecca with the latest news on the Iran hostage crisis and also the Watergate scandal.
Thanks, Medea and Michaela. Now I'm here inside the Democratic National Committee to talk about the Watergate scandal. Richard Nixon's re-election campaign caused the robbery. The group of men had been caught while attempting to wiretape phones and steal secret documents. Nixon tried to cover it up by trying to stop the FBI from investigating the crime, destroying evidence and firing uncooperative staff members. But in August 1974, after his role in the Watergate had finally come to light, the president resigned. His successor, Gerald Ford, pardoned Nixon for all the crimes he committed or may have committed while in office. The Watergate scandal changed American politics forever, leading many Americans to question their leadership and think more critically about the presidency. Now, let's talk about the Iran hostage crisis, which started off on November 4th, 1979, when a group of Iranian students stormed the U.S. Embassy to Tehran, taking more than 60 American hostages. The cause of this action was President Jimmy Carter's decision to allow Iran's deposed Shah, who had been expelled from his country some months before, to come to the U.S. for cancer treatment. However, the hostage-taking was about more than the Shah's medical care. It was a way for the student revolutionaries to declare a break with Iran's past and an end to American interference in its affairs. The students set their hostages free on January 24, 1981, 441 days after the crisis began and just hours after President Ronald Reagan delivered his inaugural address. Many historians believe that hostage crisis cost Jimmy Carter his second term as president. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Rebecca, for the informative news.
Now going to CJ so he can discuss his topics on today's news.
Thanks, guys. It is said that Nixon is set out to ease tensions between China and Soviet Russia. They have a few plans to ease those tensions. With Kissinger by his side, this should be a very easy task. He recently tried to improve relations by lowering restrictions on trade with China. And because of that, the Chinese responded with an American ping pong team tour to their country. And with the American ping pong team on their way over, Nixon is planning to be visiting China soon as well. And this visit is said to be ending 20 years of tensions between U.S. and China, which is very good for us. Nixon is also visiting the Soviet Union in May, and he is meeting with the president of Russia. The two countries signed the first Strategic Arms Limitations Treaty, SALT for short, which set limits on the production of ballistic and anti-ballistic missiles. I'm hearing breaking news that President Nixon has actually resigned from office, and I'm also getting reports that it is totally not far out. Taking over his place, Gerald R. Ford is the new president in place of Nixon. Although Ford has been known for his very, very calm ways, he has been in a bit of a loop because he has pardoned Nixon for his Watergate scandal, which upset very many Americans. Ford is trying to ease tensions with other countries as well, following in the footsteps of Nixon, and he is going to visit Japan. He's calling on all Americans to cut back on their use for oil and gas to take other energy-saving measure. He is starting to veto a lot more pieces of legislations, and Kissinger is having a very difficult time dealing with him, for he cannot really make that many good decisions. He's resuming in Southeast Asia, and Ford has asked Congress for over $722 million to help South Vietnam. And he also tried to start a new program called Whip Inflation Now, or WIN for short, which didn't really win at all. It kind of just lost. It's a U.S. merchant ship, and Ford responded with a massive show of military force to rescue 39 crew members aboard ship. Although it was successful, it has cost about 40-something lives of the American soldiers in battle. He's cutting the government spending and encouraged the Federal Reserve Board to restrict credit through interest rate. Although it sounded like a good idea at the time, these actions sadly triggered the worst economic recession in 40 years. Thank you, President Ford. Ford tried to curb inflation through a tight money policy, but that did not work either, and that is not rad at all. Back to you.
Thank you, CJ, for those radical news. Hey, Medea, do you want to talk to us about gasoline prices and OPEC and
Of course.
Nixon's presidency?
Yes, it'd be my pleasure, of course. Now on to some serious news. OPEC states declare oil embargo. Arab oil embargo was due to response to war. With our inflation already, the market price of natural gas has gone up almost quadrupled. This is with the Yom Kippur War. Congress decided to ration the amount of gasoline given. Prices are ridiculous, so I'm telling you to stay smart and only drive if necessary. Also, OPEC has really gone bad towards us, but you know what? Hopefully it'll blow off. It's only been 4 months. I'll give it another 2 months and we'll be done with this. And to other news, you want to know a little bit about your president? President Nixon? Our Republican president served in World War II and the Pacific War. But before he was president, he was actually the one selling you your hamburgers and your hot dogs and your peanuts. Yep, that's right, I said peanuts. Yeah, President Nixon, he is big on his peanuts. President Nixon was a peanut farmer. That's right, a peanut farmer. A very big one, actually. He's done a lot to come so far and works hard for our civil rights. So I just want to inform you that he's really trying to get our equality for African Americans, Mexicans. He is working hard to push for affirmative action, and he is trying to protect our rights, such as his new law, EEOC. And I also hope the best with his plans because I would love to see some peace and equality. That's all for you tonight. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Medea. Too bad that news was totally not groovy. Hopefully our president picks up the slack.
Yeah, Mick, I sure hope so too. Come on, Nixon, pick up the slack. Well, I heard you had some groovy news for us tonight.
Indeed I do. Tonight I'm going to be discussing the end of the Vietnam War, but more importantly, music and entertainment in our decade.
You gonna hit that disco?
You know it. Okay. As you know, President Nixon and Security Advisor Henry Kissinger have planned Vietnamization, which is the gradual withdrawal of troops from Vietnam. In the summer of 1969, the first withdrawal of troops from Vietnam happened. Also, then in March of 1972, North Vietnam launched the largest attack ever, causing lots of deaths, and it was the largest attack since the Tet Offensive. Nixon ordered a massive bombing on North Vietnam, but we would not be sending more troops to South Vietnam. As you all know, President Nixon and Security Advisor Henry Kissinger have begun devising a plan known as Vietnamization, which is the gradual withdrawal of troops from Vietnam. Also, recently, we all heard about the massacre at My Lai, and I'm here today with Lieutenant William Calley Jr. to talk about his massacre and why he did what he did. Lieutenant, how do you feel about what you did?
You know, I killed a bunch of men, women, children. Just a bunch of people. No big deal.
Okay. So, what a tragic event. Also, in 1972, Vietnam launched the largest attack on South Vietnam since the Tet Offensive, which we all know was just very detrimental to America's morale. In 1973, U.S. signed an agreement. Restoring peace in Vietnam. Which is what we want. We want peace for America and for the people of this world. Right now, I'm standing on the war grounds of Vietnam. Do you see this grass? It smells like death and war and children's blood. Anyways, in 1975, North Vietnam invaded South Vietnam and captured the capital, Saigon, in what would be the fall of the Republican, something non-communist South Vietnam. And that was the end of the war. Well, God bless them. On a happier note, let's talk about music and entertainment of the 70s. In the 70s, there was a rise in a lot of diverse forms of music, including rock, classical rock, reggae, folk rock, soft rock, all that good stuff, jazz, yeah. Some blues artists included Stevie Wonder, The Temptations, the Jackson 5, and such. And also, here's Bob Marley. There was a rise in popularity in reggae music because of him. And Led Zeppelin was statistically the most successful musical artist of the 1970s, who sold over 300 million records. Wow. That's just crazy. Some popular movies were Godfather, Part 1 and Part 2 in 1972 and 1974, and Grease. You know, because everyone loves Sandy. Yeah. And in 1977 and 1978, the Yankees won that big, you know, baseball thing, whatever it's called. What's it, like the World Series? Okay. Some other popular movies included Jaws, Superman, Star Wars, Rocky, The French Connection was a popular one. And so head out to your local movie theater and catch some of these great movies. Back to you, Groovy News.
Wow, I'm loving that. Well, me and Mary Jane are gonna have to hit the dance floor tonight. I'm Medea Quintanilla.
And I'm McDaniels.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Groovy News.
You stay groovy, Houston, land of Vegas.
Woo!